Since I have no gavel, the Gatorade bottle will be the gavel. So let's call to order for the meeting for June 12th. And first thing we're going to do is Pledge of Allegiance. Now, to let everybody know, well, we got a flag there. You can just stand and we're going to do the pledge because we don't have an actual flag. All right? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Awesome. And thank you, Leslie. Leslie did a nice job. If you were looking at the video, she had a flag up. Okay, so for public notification, and I think I got to turn.
No, I think you're good.
I'm good? Okay. All right, so for public notification of this meeting has been published, posted, and distributed in compliance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act, also known as FOIA. First order of business is we have to have an approval of agenda. Could I get, there we go, Rich on that. And a second, Mark. All opposed? Hearing none, approval of the agenda for today's meeting, and then we're going to do an approval of the minutes. And so could I get a first for that? Good job, Jim Starnes. Second will be Mark. Do we have any dissents? Hearing none, that passes as well for the approval of the minutes from the last meeting for May. So we'll open it up now to public comment, which we have just as many public as we do board members here in the room, I think. So anyone want to speak publicly for the public? No? All right, we can move on to the next. We'll be moving on to the director's report. John, take it away.
All right, I think, Marcia, are you going to run that? Do I run that?
No, you have a,
Oh, we didn't even rehearse.
you have mouse. Down there, or, it's up to you, John, you want it in here?
Okay, we're done. Oh. I'll pay you later, Troy. We're done. All right, I'm going to hide back here. Actually, I can't see it very well, but.
Oh. Flunked already, John.
Coffee today. Yeah, is there another way to advance this? This is just like crazy sensitive. There we go. All right, quick staff updates. Crazy guy on the left is Brian. You've seen him before. He sent the financial reports in, but we want to recognize him because earlier this month or late last month, he was recognized as one of our just by the county administrator who, at each council meeting, introduces a couple county staff to the council, so they get to know the staff. But each time they do that, they ask for kind of a quick bio of you know what the staff member does for the team. You guys know what Brian does as our finance manager. But they also ask, this is kind of fun, they also ask about something to share, something, what was that? Oh. Uh-oh. You can't hear my booming voice? Wow. All right, so they asked to share something that's unique that can be shared publicly. So there's a little parenthetical there. And Brian's was pretty cool. At first he said, you know, what we all know, he's been working in government finance and accounting for 20 years. And kind of the cool thing there is he's done audits on, you know, like big corporations and actually specialized in professional sports teams, which I thought was pretty neat. But then the really interesting thing that I knew about him and he hadn't said, and I made him add it on there, is that he's also a drummer. So he's musically inclined and obviously finance guy, math, music, you know, kind of works together. But anyway, Brian plays the drums a lot. Sometimes he'll send me videos over the weekend of what he's doing out in the garage, banging away on the drums. But pretty talented drummer. So he's been playing for 47 years. Yeah, so pretty cool. All right, next guy over on the left, Gerald, goes by Jerry. He's a brand new maintenance ops tech. He retired here from Wisconsin, so he was obviously looking to get away from the 9 months of winter that they have up there. And
you can use him for snow removal.
yeah, when we put the snow and ice removal plan together for, you know, the every 15-year implementation, we'll have him do it. He worked for Gulfstream down here for a while, and he won some awards doing that too. So he did cabinet making and stuff like that for, I guess, inside the aircraft. He's also done home renovations and fireplace installations, so pretty talented guy. We're not putting a fireplace in the new terminal, but he knows a lot about a lot of things, and he's a good addition to us. He's got electrical experience, plumbing, HVAC, all of which are challenging in county buildings. So glad to have him on board. And then finally, the young man at the bottom there is Win Alsco. Win's in the room with us today because he needs to experience these meetings. Win is an intern with us for the month of June, and he's a rising sophomore at Auburn University. I don't know if we have any Auburn people in the room.
Right here.
War Eagle.
They're Tigers, but they're not the ones we usually talk about here. But that's good. Win has been immersed in basically everything around the airport, and we're going to have him spend some time with every department of ours, as well as spend some good time with Signature. I just wanted him to see kind of how the FBO functions in a high-end private or high-end FBO like Signature and what they do. He's been with the ARF a couple times. He spent some time in the tower. We'll probably have him cycle back through there because he'll develop questions along the way. He's been helpful to me because he'll spend some time with one of the groups and then come back to me and ask a bunch of questions. And it's great because it does a couple things. It helps me understand what's going on in the airport because I like outside views to ask those questions. But it challenges my knowledge too, and it helps me as a leader. So it's great to have him on board. He had, like I said, asked great questions, and we look forward to maybe being able to do this in subsequent years too. So that is Win. So that is our staff update. Let's see if we can move this along. All right. At the end of May, we had our last school trip of the year. Right at the end of the year. I think that was a good time to do. It was a little bit warm, but I think for the most part, all the kids were done with classes and stuff, so they were a little bit, a little more energetic than some groups we've had out there. So it was fun to have JP2 there. I gave my wife a hard time because she's a principal at John Paul II, and I said, wait, we've had Hilton Head Christian here like 2 years in a row, and they're a crosstown rival, so we got to have our kids there. So they brought the whole 8th grade class, which was like 75 kids, and it was fun. It was funny because some of them had not met me before, so I went to the little groups and I started asking them whether or not they liked their principal and how she treated them. And they were looking at me like, why are you asking me that question? And then somebody who knew me would say, that's Mr. Rembold. And they all said the right things, so that was good. That was kind of like when Mike Rowe goes undercover and does the boss for a day thing or the undercover worker. So that was kind of neat, but it was great. They asked great questions, and we had awesome representation from mosquito control, sheriff's office, civil air patrol, life flight. Who else do we have? Is that about it? Lifestar. So it was fun. The students got to see a little bit of everything. A few of them got to go up in the tower, and then did everyone get a fire truck ride? I forget. I think we rotated some of them through the trucks and that, and then
You have to see it.
yeah, we've got a video at the next slide, I think, so you need to watch that. It's kind of fun as they were leaving.
Yeah.
Had to cycle through the truck wash at the end.
Broke a line there. It's amazing. Pretty neat.
I know, right? That was Steve's idea.
Excellent. That's how you brought him in.
So if you're wondering how we're going to fund phase 2 of the terminal, we're doing car washes.
And a lot of them.
I haven't run that by the FAA yet. Oops. All right, just updates. You'll see, the exterior is mostly finished on the terminal, so pretty exciting. The roof is almost complete on the land side of the terminal building. It is complete on the air side. But you're not going to see as many major changes on the exterior now because it's coming along real well. But the inside is really busy. There's a lot going on there. Insulation and sheetrock and that sort of thing. A lot of detail work happening on the inside. Let's see. You can see on the left side, that kind of crosswalk area has been completed now, and I think in a couple of weeks we'll be paving the rest of the asphalt in there. So in front of that door, it will still be closed off because there'll be work going on, but just past that, just to the north of that, all 4 lanes of traffic will then be open. So that'll be good. All the fencing in front of the building will be removed, and all the entrances to the building will be accessible. All right, so that's on the back side, and this has changed since the photos have been taken as well. The foundations now for the jet bridges are all installed, and it's amazing how huge those foundations are, and it's got to be because of the seismic and the fact that we're in the hurricane zone, but they're enormous concrete foundations for the jet bridges. So those are almost complete, and things are moving along pretty well. That's pouring some of the foundations there. Like I said, on the inside, you can see some of that sheetrock taking place and the insulation. There's a lot of detail in the sheetrock, like I said, so it's going to take quite a bit of time to go through and mud those. And then one of the next that will also, the tiling is happening in the restrooms now, looking really good. And then we'll have some terrazzo being installed as a test piece. And let's see what else. Then some of the ceiling work will be happening in the next probably month or so as well.
Hey, John?
Yes.
You know, about the terminal, I don't know if you've noticed, but South Carolina Aeronautics Commission, a couple years ago, featured both Hilton Head and Ridgeland covers of their publications because of. But this year, they're featuring the renderings of the Hilton Head terminal as the only in their publications. So.
I guess that's on the airfield directory that they
Directory and the
publish each
maps
year.
and everything, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and that was a little bit of a marketing piece too, because you can see the 2 different color roofs on the building. So we'd like people to make sure we can get rid of that green roof and complete phase 2 of the terminal project. All right, just a couple updates here. County budget was just recently approved, so that's good. We can move on to the next fiscal year, which starts July the 1st. Next week, we've got a visit from Hickory, North Carolina. We'll have some of our folks from Talbot, Brighton, Ellington, bringing the folks from Hickory down and just talking about different things with the airport, some of the projects that we've gone through in the last 8 or 10 years. I know they want to take a look at the EMAS at either end of the airfield and the terminal project as well. So we'll have a chance to talk with them and trade some stories as well. Concessions RFP, I say it's advertised. It's going out either today or tomorrow. So we're excited about that. And that RFP addresses the existing building and the new building. So it'll be a full-scale concessions RFP. And that's for retail and food and beverage together. And then just federal issues. You've seen some of the emails that I've sent out in the last couple of weeks where, on an afternoon or evening, I'll get a plea from sometimes one of the airlines, sometimes one of the lobbying groups or one of the, industry organizations will send a plea for letters, emails to go to senators, primarily senators, to influence some of the legislation. So the latest one was that credit card legislation. I thought had been defeated last year. I guess it was just tabled and it's coming back this year. So it's terrible legislation. So if anybody has a credit card with any kind of reward system on it, that would go away. So I don't know who would be for that. It would be awful for the airlines and a lot of other organizations, entities that use those reward systems. And there were some interesting stats, and it showed how many Americans would not be able to access the air travel system without credit card rewards because they're not frequent flyers. They buy retail items with those credit cards, generate miles, and then are able to travel. So it would have a huge impact on the travel industry and certainly an enormous impact on the tourism industry and we're just slightly tied in with that, as you know. So that's a good one to oppose. And I think that's all I've got. Let me see. Yep. And then again, Engagement HQ. So if you're interested in checking out just up-to-date photos of the terminal, that is where you go. That concludes my report.
Okay, anybody got any questions? I have some questions, John. We got ARW, we got the runway's going to be down starting Monday. What's the repair work that's being done for that? I know it's obviously prep for the final, correct?
The overlay for the runway.
Oh,
So
so
they're
it's-
paving the runway.
They're actually doing the pavement,
Yes,
and they're
yes.
going to have that done in a week,
Yes.
roughly. Okay, all right, that's what I wanted to make sure of. That
Yep.
so it's a little ahead of schedule from where we were, because we were talking before, like in August, but obviously.
Yeah, we
it
hadn't
goes by-
nailed the dates down. We were waiting to find out when secession was closed.
Yeah. I
But
think
their
it was
official
closed this
closing
week.
is
Yeah.
Sunday, so
Yeah.
we'll start paving Monday, or
Okay.
start
Yeah.
the project.
Okay. So, and I think a good email went out about it. We may want to just send out a reminder. I know we're making some, because I've got to fly on Friday, and I'm coming back on Sunday, and then it's supposed to go again on Wednesday, so we got to, Walterboro is where we're going, so we're repositioning 2 planes. Okay. Anybody, just, once again, any questions for John on the report? Okay. Looks like, in terms of the terminal project, we're pretty much on schedule.
Yeah, we're on schedule. I think I don't really have any concerns about this first phase of the project. It's going real smoothly. But right now, what I'm focusing on is phase 2 to try to get
Okay.
that funded and
Okay.
be able to try to tie that in.
Okay, and is there anything on the budget that we need to know about that was approved by county that does anything? No surprises, good or bad?
Oh, we're good to go.
Okay. So now we'll go to some unfinished business. and
Need
I
me to
don't-
exit out
yeah.
here, Rocio, or do anything? Ah, good job. Hands free.
So so now we can just go to unfinished business, which we're efficient at our jobs, and I don't believe we have any unfinished business. We get it all done.
Finishers.
So we'll move on to new business. And we've decided unofficially, this is the longest agenda of new business we have ever had. So I now hold that record as chairman. At least that's one record. So let's talk about how we have to go through each one individually, correct? There's no grouping of them or anything.
No, we already grouped.
Okay.
I think, didn't we group some? I think
Yeah,
we grouped what we
like
could.
So what we could, okay, all right, so good, all right. So hopefully everybody went through the notes that John took the time to send out yesterday, so you understood what, a lot of these are repeats that have to be done pretty much every year. Every operational agreement do we have, is it yearly? 12-month, rolling?
Yes and no, we're in the middle of baselining. I mean, we have so many.
Yeah.
So it's hard to baseline those. But
Right.
this is the season where we're going to have the majority of them.
Okay, all right. So if there's any, the way that we're going to do this is pretty much standard, the way we've done them before. John will kind of give a brief overview. If there's a question, you can ask it. And then we'll have a discussion. We get a motion and a second and then discussion. And then we'll look for any nay votes, which, reviewing all of it, I don't see any problems, but maybe that's just me. So let's start out with the first one, the work authorization for HXD.
All right, that is for a conceptual design for what we are calling kind of our combined facility for admin, security, maintenance, operations at 26 Hunter Road. So you may have been in that building, but that'll be renovated and expanded so that we can move our admin headquarters off of the airfield and out from behind the fence and have a combined facility. So this is just a conceptual design. There'll be future phases of design that happen after this.
And the money for that will come through on FAA, or how is that?
No, that's not. That's we're actually using some of our South Carolina Aeronautics Commission entitlement funds for that.
Okay, all right. So can I have a motion? Thank you, Rich. Can I have a second? All right. Thank you, Jim. Any discussion on that? Anybody got any questions? Pretty straightforward. Okay, all opposed? Hearing none, that passes. to move on. You're going to take these all to, everything that here then moves on to county council, correct?
It'll go to, I think not everything goes to committee, most everything goes to
Okay.
committee and then council.
Okay, so then we got another work authorization for the approval of the Talbot Bright and Ellington work authorization for legal assistance.
Right. So this is the specialized legal counsel to work with us on the, that proposed project at the northeast quadrant of the airfield, actually off airport at this point. And that is so that we've got legal counsel who's got experience in the aviation business industry to help us as we look at the draft, agreements that we've received from the proposed developer, and then will allow us to develop our terms to, as a basis for negotiation.
This is this is for the other FBO possibility. This is to explore that and make sure that it can actually be done legally.
Right.
Not cause us any grant issues going into the future. All right? Does anybody have any questions for John? Go ahead, Brian.
Quick question, John. With these legal representations, do you have a rough estimate of what it costs to do that?
It's in the document.
Yeah, there's a max, it's in the document. It's not gonna be awful. I think the estimate, was between probably $10,000 and $20,000. So it really depends on how that kind of unfolds, but that was the initial estimate.
Any other? Yeah, Mark.
Yeah, John, just verify, this is for like discussion purposes only. This is not a project go-ahead for the project. This is just exploratory, correct?
That's right. This group will help us as we, tee up to make decisions.
'Cause I remember the discussion, the presentation that was given, and I think there's some merit to some of it, but I'm not sure some of it is a good fit for us too. So that's still to be discussed through this then. That's correct. Okay.
Anyone else?
Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have, with John, has the land that they need to allow this to move forward?
No.
He asked if the land was.
No, they have not.
Acquired. They just have it locked down, but I don't think they've actually purchased it.
They've
correct?
acquired one.
They've acquired one piece.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So we'll need a motion to accept this. Jim, second. Rich? Sorry, I'm going to get to you, Mark.
That's okay.
And so any other discussion before we vote? Okay, hearing none. Any opposed? Please signify by raising your hand or saying something. Hearing none, the motion passes. And we'll move on to the third contract award for Hilton Head.
All right, straightforward contract award for Quality Enterprises. They're going to execute the airfield drainage project. And if you recall, that project needs to be executed so that we can basically beef up drainage structures that previously were not in the runway safety area, but because of our change from a C2 to a C3, they're now in the runway safety area. So those structures need to get upgraded. So design's complete, bidding's complete, and we're just here to award the contract.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions? Could I get a motion for that, Mark? Nice job. Second, Rich? Sorry, Brian. Second was Brian. Apologize, I'm neglecting the people coming in remotely. Any other discussion or questions before we vote? All right, hearing none. Anyone opposed to the contract award? Signify by saying nay or all good, so it passes. We'll move on to number 4, another contract award. Go ahead and explain that one to us, John.
Yep, this is for Volair Aviation Consulting, and what they do for us is air service development work and marketing work. It's the same firm that we've had in place for the last several years. We rebid that opportunity this spring because they're coming up on the end of the contract, and their package was, again, the best fit for the airport, and so it's a group that we selected.
Yeah, any questions on that? Everybody's pretty familiar with them. Yeah, Howard.
I have one for John. Is this a request for proposal type contract, or is this just an award to continue the relationship?
It was a request for qualifications.
Say again, didn't quite get it.
Request for qualifications.
Okay. All right.
No,
Yeah, go ahead, Rich.
Just are you pounding on them pretty heavy to get Delta in here with more flights? I mean, that's one of their jobs, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, I assumed as much.
Yep.
Yep.
That's
I'm
their,
on the
that's
board.
their primary reason for existing.
Good.
Okay. Could I get a motion to bring it up for a vote? Howard? Excellent job. Yep. And could I get a second? Mark?
Let's keep
All
my hands in
right.
it.
Any other discussion regarding the motion? Having none. Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Move on to the next contract award again for the terminal advertising.
Yep. Similarly, this contract was coming up for, is going to expire, and so we put this out as this was a request for proposals to look at other advertising media groups who are interested in the contract for concessions, for advertising concessions in the terminal. Departure Media, who was our incumbent, again, had the best package that was submitted, and we elected to stay with them. And so they'll continue on as our advertising concession. Now, that's a revenue-generating contract for the airport. And kind of the advantage of having them stay on is they've already invested some of their funds with the first contract to get certain advertising infrastructure in the airport. There will probably be some more that's added with the new building. We're focusing heavily on digital advertising, so there'll be monitors and things like that happen. But they've got a real good creative team, and they're also local. They're in Charleston, and they're a women-owned business, so it's good to have a DBE as well.
Yeah. All right, great. Could I get a motion for that? Rich, second. Leslie? You're seconding. There we go. Excellent. We see you have a friend visiting, or you're visiting the friend.
Granddaughter, I bet.
Yeah, that's what I would guess that, yeah. Okay, any other discussion about that motion? And we can, anybody opposed to it? Hearing none, that motion passes as well. And now we're going to move into the office lease space agreement at ARW.
All right, this is just a standard space agreement for inside the terminal. And it's a group that's already in there. Beaufort Flight Training, I think they just had a name change in their LLC. And so it just brings that lease back in here. So it's,
Okay, yeah.
so it's just a matter of form.
Okay,
Extending the terms of the lease or just,
I don't think,
name
we just
change.
do a year to year, right?
Year to year.
Yeah, it's year to year on
We had to redo this because of the name change on
Yeah.
the lease.
yeah, because they kept the DBA as Beaufort Flight Training, but the actual,
The
yeah,
ownership.
LLC, yeah, there's an ownership change there. Okay, can I get a motion for that? Jim, second. Mark? Any other discussion? This is just really a renewal. It's due to the name change, or actually not a name change, but ownership change. Any opposed to accepting the contract or the lease agreement, I should say? Hearing none, that passes as well. And then we'll move on to the non-tenant commercial operating agreement. That needs to be done because of the space, the office space, yeah, and the ownership change. So it's
Exactly.
basically the exact same thing. I don't think there's any reason for you to explain that one. I think we all got that one figured out. And could I get a motion? Rich, second. There we go, Leslie.
Brian.
I don't think we need to have any discussion about it since we've already discussed the first, number 6. Do we have anybody opposed? Having no opposition, the motion passes unanimously. And now we will move on to the office space lease agreement renewal. This one's a little bit different, so I'll let you explain this one, John.
And the only difference here is that it's another business inside the terminal. So this is the group that does the check rides and the examinations for.
Oh, yeah, so they're doing
pilots.
office space. Okay. Okay. The same people, though?
Same folks.
Yeah, so
Yep.
just a renewal.
Yep.
Okay. Can I get a motion first for that, Brian? Nice job. Second, Howard. Excellent. Any discussion more? I don't think we have any. Any opposed? Please signify. Hearing none, that motion passes as well. And now we're on to number 9, non-tenant commercial operating agreement, ARW. And this is basically the same thing. We're going to repeat that. No discussion really needed on this. So we're going to be looking for a first, and that'll be Nick. Thank you, Nick, for giving us a motion. And I need a second. Jim?
This is,
Yeah.
this is 7, 8, and 9.
This 7, 8, yeah, we're on 8 now, but it's the same pilot specialties.
Right, so
we got
7 through 9.
No, 8 through 9. 7 is still under Beaufort Flight Training.
Okay.
6 and 7 go together.
But way to stay on top of it.
8 and 9.
Way to keep, hey, you need to keep
I'm
me in
just trying to
line.
help you.
I can make a mistake. I can make, my wife reminds me every day.
Every day or every minute?
Well, you need to live with me for a day, Rich, and you'd see why. She needs to stay on top of me.
This is being recorded, don't you?
I know. We've been married a long time. It works out very well.
Until this afternoon.
So, we need a motion for that. Rich? Second, Jim? And any opposed? Hearing none, that motion passes as well. Now we're going to talk about the next 5 or grant acceptance recommendations. Go ahead and explain those to us on it, what we're doing.
First thing I'll say, for your benefit and for Tom's benefit, since he'll probably be in the committee meeting on Monday to hear this again, but, and you can help explain this to your peers, it's interesting. The reason we're putting these forward, and if you read any of the AISs that are as part of the backup, it explains that these are kind of preemptive grant acceptances. The grants haven't been offered yet, but they're going to be offered. But they're probably going to be offered during the time that county council is on their summer recess. And especially with the FAA grants, there are pretty quick expiration dates on their offers. And all those FAA offers now are sent electronically, and they're executed electronically. So what often happens is the grant is offered, and it goes directly to the county administrator, and then when he signs it electronically, it then forwards to the county attorney, and once he signs, it's done. So technically, county council has to authorize the administrator to make that signature. They can't do that until we bring this forward. The county process, it's crazy to say this, the feds move way faster than the county, okay? So kudos to the FAA on their electronic system. We can't get this approved through the county system fast enough to execute those offers. So what we're doing is, we know what the grants are going to be. So we've got all these teed up so that we can take them to committee next week, and then they'll be on the county council agenda on July the 14th. That should be right in the middle of grant offer season. In other words, as those offers cycle in, the county administrator can verify with us at the airport that yes, council has authorized them, we'll move smoothly through the process. Otherwise, we risk awarding contracts or wanting to award contracts and work authorizations, and we won't have a grant
We
in
don't have
place.
the money.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what all these are, and we'll kind of step through each one. The first one, number 10, let's see. This is a design and bidding grant for over at Beaufort Executive, and it will take care of the partial parallel taxiway. I think we talked about this in the past, where we're going to extend that parallel taxiway as far as we can to the north until we basically abut the wetlands. So we're doing everything we can with a wetlands permit, and this will gain us several hundred feet of, or maybe over, I forget, it's probably over 1,000 feet
Yeah.
of additional parallel taxiway, which is an enormous safety improvement at the airport.
It also gains a safer space.
It'll gain us safer
Yeah.
space as well. Correct.
Good. We need
Yes,
that.
we need that.
Yep. And this is, you'll notice that these are combined items. So we've got an FAA, South Carolina Aeronautics Commission grant that are tucked into that same line item. And with that one, let's see, on the FAA, or on the number 10, that covers 97.5% of the cost. So the airport's into this one for about $6,500.
Yeah. All right, well, first let's have a motion. Jim, second on it. Nick seconding. And so we will, any discussion on this? I mean, it's pretty straightforward on what's being done.
Rebuild it tomorrow?
Yeah, would be nice. Yeah, that taxiway, yeah, the ramp has gotten very full. Okay, hearing no other discussion, let's go ahead and have a vote. Any nays about not accepting this grant? Hearing none, the motion passes, and we'll move on to number 11 on the grant acceptance for the next item.
All right, next one, we'll transition down to Hilton Island Airport. This is a similar deal. We've got the FAA grant and Aeronautics Commission grant on the same line. And the Aeronautics Commission grant, just to remind you, is that Aeronautics does not do the same grant aid for commercial airports that they do for the general aviation airports, but there is entitlement fund for the commercial airports. So we're using our entitlement funds to pay for the sponsor share of that. In the two grants, the airport will not contribute to that project. So we're totally paid for with that one. And that is related to the item on the previous page, which was the contract award for quality enterprises.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, we need a motion, a first on that. Leslie, you look like you'd like to make that. Second would be Brian, since I missed you last time. There we go. There's a second on Brian. Do we have any discussion on it? That matches up to the quality bid that's going to be issued or has been issued. Okay, since there's no other discussion, let's vote on this. Are there any nays to not accepting this grant? Hearing none, motion passes for that. And so we'll move to number 12 for the other another grant acceptance.
Apparently, we're talking too much. Change out my microphone. We got to shorten this agenda.
And the battery.
All right, so number 12, let's see, this is also Hilton Head Island Airport. And again, same thing, this is, the airport is using the entitlement funds from South Carolina Aeronautics to fund our portion, so this is 100% funded. And this is for the environmental assessment document that needs to be prepared as we look at more pavement work, basically. So this is looking at the runway object-free area at Hilton Head Island Airport, and this will be the study for the environmental aspect of that.
Okay, Rich, second. Mark? All right, any other discussion regarding that? All right, hearing none, let's vote. If I could have a vote on, are there any nays against accepting this grant as well? Hearing none, motion passes, and we will move to the next item. We're on 13, right? 13. Yep. All right, go ahead, explain this grant as well. This tower renovation, this is pretty self-explanatory. What all is going to be encompassed in it?
Right, well, it's a little bit different grant because it's a BIL grant, so it's not a standard FAA AIP grant. This is one that was competitive that Steve applied for, and we were awarded last fall. Since the FAA is the administrator of the grant funds, we apply a second time. So it's a fait accompli, but we still have to put the paperwork in. They still have to send us the signature paperwork via email. Steve, I'll let you explain the scope of that a little bit
The
more.
scope of this is, if everybody remembers, the first BIL for the tower was to upgrade all the communications equipment, which I deemed the important pieces of the tower. And now this second approval award letter that we got from BIL is to renovate the insides to make the comfort, get everything up to date. So refurbish air conditioner units, carpet, floors, windows if needed, doors, and make sure the building is up to standards as well. So after this one, we should be good with the tower. This also includes lightning protection on the roof of the tower. We were having issues with that. So we'll have a better lightning protection system on the roof. Possibly moving the beacon, if I can swing it with the contractor from where it's at to on top of the tower.
Okay. All right. Can I have a motion to bring this up for a vote? Brian, nice job. Second. Nice job, Nick. Any other discussion about this? Pretty straightforward. Okay. Hearing none, we'll have a vote. Anybody opposed? Hearing none, that grant acceptance passes as well. And we are on our 14th and the last grant acceptance. Recommendation for approval of resolution to accept grant for the fire suppression repair.
All right, so this one is, there's a few buildings at the airport that just have updates that need to happen to the fire suppression system. So we get periodic inspections from fire safety professionals, and I believe Hilton Head Island Fire comes through, Fire Marshal goes through, and they look at everything, which is important to do. And there's some upgrades that have to happen actually at the ARF, at the tower, and at the terminal. So this will take care of all three of those upgrades, and again, we're able to use the Aeronautics Commission entitlement funds to pay for this, so it is fully funded.
Okay. All right. Need a motion to bring this up for a vote. Rich, second. Jim? All right, any other discussion? Anybody have any questions for John on this? Hearing none, we'll have a vote. Is there anybody opposed to accepting the grant? Hearing none, we will, it goes unanimously approved. And now we'll move to the chairman update, that being me. I have no updates, but we'll then just go straight to committee reports. Leslie, would you like, there any ambassador reports that you'd like to give?
No report. Everything's going well. I am full for June. Everybody has stepped up to the plate, and we like the new configuration the airport has done to get into screening. And it's great for the ambassadors to be standing there, because that's the first thing that passengers see when they walk into the terminal. There we are. So it's really nice. Everyone's doing great, and we're looking forward to getting through the summer. It's like 14 flights now on Saturday.
14 flights are coming in. Wow, that's awesome. Awesome. All right, thank you, Leslie. And how about for HXD hangar group? You have anything, Brian? Any new updates?
No, nothing new to report.
Okay.
It might be a good idea, Don, when you have a school or other visiting entity come to the airport, let us know, so we might have a board member representing, if we're available. And if the people are interested in learning how to fly, you can have a flight instructor.
Okay, awesome, thank you. ARW report, Jim, you have anything?
No report other than we're tentatively got a meeting scheduled for the 27th.
Okay.
We can get everybody at ARW there
Okay,
on, what is it, Monday?
okay,
I'll send out an email.
Send out an email on it.
For times that are good for everybody.
okay. And do we have, how are we doing on the site prep on the hangar? We have a timing on that? Have we gotten permits? We still waiting on permits?
I was told a permit should be available by the end of this month.
Okay, and then have we awarded that bid? We have awarded the bid, it's really just waiting, and then we'll have maybe next meeting, we may have an idea on, maybe, not putting any pressure on anybody.
The airport's trying to get a county permit.
Yeah, that's,
What was that
we're
comment
not going
earlier
down
about the
that
feds
rabbit
being
hole.
quicker?
Everybody wants to go down that rabbit hole, and we're not going down it, right? Okay, we'll just keep us posted on that, and we can maybe get some dates and see what's looking, how it's looking. So that brings us, and I think that covers all of our committees. No, we have a committee for government.
Government Affairs.
Yes.
John and I have been working closely with the people in Columbia this week. John doing all the follow-up. I'm doing the harassing, which that's my forte. But in any case, there's no money in hand, but it's John knows the people he has to go knock heads with to try to get money.
Okay, good. Well, just keep us updated for the next, and, I mean, it looks like, we've got a lot of grants, so I think everybody's, I would say, we're pretty happy we're not having people leave. The things that I look at when I'm trying to assess something, whether it's being successful, is we have groups that are at ARW, and obviously ARW, I'm there all the time, but we don't have anybody leaving there. We're seeing it, and I like to see the flight training there. Same thing is happening, at the airports. The vendors that we have don't seem to be leaving; they're staying, which is those are good signs. We've got, obviously, we had some improvements at ARW. We're working on some hangars. We got stuff going on, obviously, with the major project with the terminal at Hilton Head. I mean, so those are all good things for us as a board to see. Okay, with that,
I got
yes.
one more just to add on to Rich's government side. I think I copied all of you on some notes that I sent when I submitted an earmark request to Senator Graham's office back in April, I believe. So I will ask you, I don't know what the timeline is for awarding that. I've not heard anything, so I'll check in with our office. But I'd ask each of you, every member of the board, if you would write a letter to Senator Graham's office, that earmark request, how incredibly important it is. Get the second phase of that terminal funded while the first phase is underway.
Be a lot less expensive.
It could potentially, and that assumes the contractor would win the bid. I mean, you never know, but we could be best positioned if that incumbent contractor were to do the second phase. You avoid expensive mobilization costs for a second contractor or through a gap in service. It's incredibly important that we get some money in the bank. I go talk to these folks in Columbia and wherever else they want me to go, I can let them know. I was asked that question yesterday afternoon. Have you gotten anything yet? Because we certainly would like to pile on instead of being the first ones. So
Okay.
I could, certainly use, the airport could use everybody's just.
Resend that out to the board so we can get that out then. I think
Gotcha.
just
Yeah, the
to
more you
make-
poke the
right.
feds, the more
Right.
uncomfortable you make them.
Well, you get it back
That's a
on
good
top
thing.
of the pile, right?
That's right.
On
The
it.
only one we asked, and what about the other?
He's the only one who's
What about-
doing the
what about
earmarks.
Mayor?
Yeah,
Mace
yeah.
do anything?
She doesn't do
Okay.
earmarks.
Leslie, you have a question?
I do. I have a suggestion. John, the most recent request you sent out to us, you included individual names and email addresses of staffers to reach out to. I have found that if you go online and have to track down an email address, you're going to get a form, to fill out a form. It's not even a letter. That form, having worked on Capitol Hill, goes right to a person running a computer that sends a form letter back. It never gets any attention. Really, in order for us to have an effect in sending letters, we need to have appropriate email addresses to the right staffer, or one letter with all board members signed, perhaps hand delivered, or sent directly to someone chief of staff.
We're buffering. Okay.
That's just my suggestion.
Is that a possibility on that? That's a great suggestion, Leslie, on that. Is it, obviously doing the letter and having us all sign it and then get, I'm assuming there's some type of lobby group for the airports that would deliver that for them? And on the federal side?
I would interrupt and say, I think the more that go into the senator's house is better, as
Okay.
opposed to one letter,
Okay.
one letter, oh yeah, all these guys signed it, as opposed to hitting them with as much as we can. We got 11 members.
Yeah. All right.
I asked that question
agree, too?
earlier, and when this first came up, and Rich said the same thing, is volume as opposed to
Okay, then
one.
let's
But
do
I
it that
will
way.
say also, I do agree with Leslie, getting the right belly button is appropriate, because
Yeah.
so far,
Why not do both?
Graham has not answered my request.
Yeah, so why not, what?
Yeah, I've gotten it back from my
Every
letters.
time I send him an email, he personally calls me. I'm kidding.
Well, he'll be
Doesn't
calling me in
happen.
a few months and wants my vote.
Yeah, but, well, what we may want to do is do both. Why not do the email, but also send snail mail as well and send it direct. That, I think both ways would be.
More is better.
than helpful. Yeah,
More volume
more
is
better.
better.
I always like more better.
More better.
Okay, so we've got that, and you'll send that out, so we've got it. All right, so be watching for that on your inboxes. That brings us back to citizen comment. Yes, Tom?
Is this on? Can
Yep.
you hear me? Chairman, thank you. On behalf of County Council, we want to welcome Wynn. Council's always looking for kids throughout high school or colleges to do internships or whatever it is, and I give the John and the staff here credit for bringing you in. So if there's anything you need, let us know, but keep an eye on local town and county government as well. We appreciate that.
And just so you know, this is a county councilman for the Hilton Head District.
Tom Reese, we met before, but
Oh.
Richard, thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
just want
that.
to make sure we know who,
Good.
your power.
No, listen, none at all. I mean, Wynn holds all the power. But there's a spot open with Ann's retirement on Hilton Head for one of you, a board member, and Chris and I were talking, I don't want to, we're going to interview them, but I'd like to have him part of that. And I don't know if you know it, I've been on this board 2.5 years now, and the way, this is a lot of fun, so it's great to be part of this. The only thing I would recommend is the chairman, and Chris, you better have a buddy here because your clothes are going to be on the front yard when you go home. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tom. And when I think I was, when I saw the picture of you, and then I looked over here, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's the same guy. But you've matured quite a bit. I'm assuming that was a picture from a little bit ago. Yesterday? Well, it makes you look younger. Who took the picture? That's who I want to know. Did you take? I'm going to have you take pictures of me because I can drop 10 years in a heartbeat that way.
Don't break her camera.
All right, so now we're moving to one of the best parts and a sad part at the same time, adjournment. So I need a first and a second. Any opposed? Hearing none?
Just remember, we're third Thursday next month.
Third Thursday next month. We're back to our normal. And the address, so, and we're at Town Center, 10 in the morning. Okay,
That's just next month.
that's just next month.
Just next month, then we go back to the second after that. It's
Okay.
just that Hilton Head was, they were.
Yeah, watch your emails. Maybe that'd be the best way to put it. Watch your emails. Awesome.
She takes
Thank you, everybody.
Well done, Mr. Chairman.
Very nice.
That was a lot.